In Georgia, wild boars are no longer a temporary problem. With populations spread across the entire state, they've become a long-term management challenge for agriculture, infrastructure, and natural environments. Estimated economic losses exceed $150 million per year, but the bigger concern lies in the lasting impacts on farmland, production chains, and the stability of rural communities. At this scale, damage is no longer confined to a single farm. It becomes a regional risk. The question is how to prevent it from spreading before it gets out of control. Field studies in the US show that an adult wild boar herd can travel long distances in a single night, yet they tend to return to spots that have consistently provided food. Rather than causing destruction all at once, boars often start on overlooked edges, the perimeter of fields or forest borders, repeating these behaviors over multiple nights. Over time, these familiar paths allow other herds to access the same areas. This behavior means that delays in control can lead to cumulative effects: decreased soil productivity over successive seasons, increased traffic accidents involving wild boars, and the spread of disease to livestock and native wildlife. Such risks cannot be solved with temporary measures. They require systematic, long-term management. The effective approach is not reacting to individual incidents, but controlling the impact zone. Instead of chasing single animals, corral traps are deployed based on real-world data, frequency of sightings, repeated travel routes, and intersection points between forest and farmland. Studies show that influencing herd behavior is more effective than targeting individual boars. Breaking the cycle of return dramatically reduces damage, even if not all animals are removed. In wildlife management, behavioral control matters more than population control. Addressing the return points ensures long-term effectiveness rather than just reacting to immediate consequences. In central areas, where losses account for the bulk of seasonal damage, traps are activated only when the key herd is identified. The goal is to disrupt the behavior of the most problematic individuals, reducing damage quickly. At the edges, traps act as a guiding measure. Early intervention breaks familiar access cycles, lowering visitation frequency without forcing the herd to move elsewhere. This approach maintains regional stability instead of just temporarily addressing a hotspot.
before it starts raining again.
When particularly destructive individuals are caught, handling is done following official wildlife management protocols. This includes adherence to local laws, safety standards, and humane principles, ensuring human safety while minimizing unnecessary ecological impact. This step is crucial to protect agriculture while maintaining ecological balance. After implementing a strategically planned control program, field reports show a significant reduction in destructive activity. In many cases, crop damage drops 60 to 80% in a single season, even if wild boars are not entirely removed from the area. This proves that effectiveness comes not from extreme measures, but from systematic, responsible management. In the US, safeguarding today's harvest is essential, but maintaining balance for future seasons is the real success. Proper management doesn't eliminate all risk, but it keeps it within controllable limits. In Texas, wild hogs are pushing closer and closer to residential areas, showing up in backyards, roaming suburban streets. They destroy crops, disrupt daily life, and create growing concerns for public safety. Faced with this reality, many communities are choosing a different path. No gunfire, no open hunts. Instead, smart wild hog trapping systems. Can this approach really help manage such a complex and dangerous problem? Let's take a closer look. Unlike traditional hunting, modern trapping systems are built on one core principle: capture alive, control precisely, and protect public safety. Large corral-style traps, often monitored remotely by cameras, allow wildlife control teams to observe entire sounders as they slowly enter, one by one, step by step, following their natural movement patterns. And when the moment is right, the gate drops silently. No gunshots, no chaos. No gunfire means no panic in nearby neighborhoods, no stray bullets, no unnecessary injuries. Footage shows fully grown wild boars, some weighing over 300 pounds, 136 kilograms, secured safely without serious injury. This isn't reckless killing. This is targeted population control, reducing human-wildlife conflict while minimizing unnecessary suffering. For communities that value both public safety and humane treatment of animals, this marks a major shift in how wildlife is managed. Catching the hog is only the first step. What happens next matters just as much. Wildlife control teams follow strict procedures, securing traps to prevent escapes, minimizing stress on the animals, using specialized equipment for transport. In emergency situations, after floods or when wild hogs appear near schools or hospitals, traps are relocated immediately to safe areas, where animals are handled according to state and local regulations. For local authorities, this isn't just a technical task, it's a responsibility to the community. Community safety always comes first. But safety does not have to mean unnecessary violence. A steel gate closing quietly, careful transport under cover of night. Decisions guided by data, not emotion. This is the new direction in wildlife management. A path built on responsibility, restraint, and the belief that control, when possible, is always better than chaos. Thank you for following our journey. All actions shown are carried out in full compliance with U.S. law. If you're interested in responsible and safe wildlife management solutions, don't forget to follow the channel for more real-world situations ahead. From the vineyards of southern France to farms and residential areas across the United States, wild boars are becoming a serious and rapidly growing challenge for both people and the environment. The explosive growth of wild boar populations is damaging crops, degrading soil, causing traffic accidents, and threatening native species. When nature loses its balance, short-term reactions are no longer enough. Wildlife management demands a planned approach and long-term vision. Wild boars are highly intelligent animals. They live in structured groups and reproduce at an astonishing rate. These traits make population control especially difficult, particularly as they adapt quickly to human-dominated landscapes. Scattered, uncoordinated measures usually bring only temporary results. Without proper management, wild boar populations continue to expand, intensifying conflicts with farmers, landowners, and nearby communities. This reality highlights one key truth: wildlife management is not about eliminating a species, it's about restoring balance. In many regions, large-scale wild boar trapping has become a critical management tool. Building and setting traps is not just mechanical work. It requires a deep understanding of wild boar behavior, how they move, how they forage, and how they interact within the sounder. Traps are built strong to ensure human safety, minimize environmental impact, and reduce unnecessary harm to the animals. When placed correctly along established travel routes and feeding areas, an entire sounder can be controlled in a single operation rather than capturing just a few scattered individuals. This approach is far more effective than random or reactive measures. The goal is not to catch as many animals as possible, but to influence the structure and behavior of the entire group. The success of wild boar control depends heavily on cooperation between landowners and wildlife management teams. Traps are checked daily. Herd movements are carefully monitored. Data is collected continuously to ensure traps operate safely, effectively, and without negative impact on surrounding areas. Capturing an entire sounder at once greatly reduces the risk of boars returning to residential zones, while protecting crops and lowering the chances of dangerous encounters with people and vehicles. When properly managed, large corral traps allow population control to be both effective and humane, without panic or unnecessary injury. More importantly, trapping is only one part of a long-term strategy built on field observation, experience, and responsibility. When used within legal frameworks and under proper supervision, wild boar traps deliver clear benefits: reduced agricultural damage, protection of natural habitats and native species, and improved safety for communities near affected areas. Most importantly, this is not the effort of one individual. It is the result of cooperation between landowners, local communities, and wildlife management professionals. story of wild boars is not simply about reducing the numbers of a single species. It reflects the complex relationship between humans and nature in the modern world. In wild boar management, success does not come from aggressive action, but from understanding the problem and intervening at the right time. When planned and applied responsibly, smart traps reduce conflict, protect communities, and help keep ecosystems in long-term balance. In the end, wildlife management is not a battle to be won. It is a process of learning how to control risk without breaking the natural balance. In the US, wild boars are booming across many states, especially in the South. In Japan, they're moving deeper into residential areas as forests can no longer contain their rapidly growing populations. How do you control a smart, aggressive, and extremely cautious animal while keeping humans and the environment safe? Let's find out. In Japan, wild boars are a top pest for agriculture. According to local reports, they cause billions of yen in crop damage every year. An aging rural population, a shortage of professional hunters, and the extinction of natural predators like wolves have pushed boar populations out of control. Local authorities prioritize carefully managed traps to protect both crops and communities. Farmers often use rice bran, a cheap and easily available bait with a strong scent that wild boars find irresistible. Instead of activating traps immediately, they build trust. For days, sometimes weeks, bait is spread evenly, and both trap doors are left wide open, allowing boars to come and go freely. After repeated access to a stable food source, the boars gradually let their guard down. They step deeper into the trap, unaware that the mechanism is silently armed. Successful trapping not only protects the upcoming harvest, but also reduces the risk of boars entering residential areas, where they could pose a direct threat to humans. Boars are not always careless. Often, not all members enter at once. Some feed while others watch from outside. This shows their high intelligence and vigilance, forcing operators to carefully time trap activation or accept catching only part of the herd at a time. Damage isn't limited to agriculture. Wild boars can carry diseases affecting livestock and pose health risks to humans. Heavy-duty steel cage traps are preferred in dense forests or near residential areas, where firearms pose high risks or are legally restricted. Cornered in tight spaces, boars can become extremely aggressive. Every approach must follow strict safety protocols. In some cases, trained dogs interact safely with boars through the steel mesh. This familiarizes them with the animal's scent, sounds, and aggressive reactions without direct danger. These dogs then play a vital role in tracking herds deep in the forest, where cage traps are less effective. Once a boar is securely trapped, licensed electrical devices are often used in confined spaces. Electrical control is considered safe and efficient, minimizing human risk and reducing unnecessary stress on the animal. In many invasive species programs, trapped animals are handled according to strict protocols. Releasing piglets out of temporary compassion can worsen the problem, as they quickly mature, remember trap locations, and continue reproducing. This is not cruelty, it's science-based, practical responsibility. After quarantine, these boars can be used as food or livestock food, turning a community threat into a useful resource, closing the wildlife management cycle safely and responsibly. Proper control protects today's crops and ensures the safety of communities for the future. No gunshots, no headlights sweeping through the trees, just a phone vibrating quietly in the middle of the night. Close to midnight, a notification comes in from the home security system. Motion detected. Seconds later, the footage reveals a group of wild boars moving into the garden. They advance in a line, calm, methodical, no rush. This isn't the behavior of animals passing through by chance. It's the signature of a herd that knows this ground well. That tells us one thing clearly. This isn't a random visit. It's a well-established route. The real question now becomes, how do you stop the risk without putting people or the neighborhood in danger? Let's take a closer look. No one steps outside. Everything is monitored from inside the house, where decisions are made based on data, not instinct. A smart trap had been set weeks earlier, right along the trail the boars repeatedly used to approach the residential area. This wasn't guesswork. The location was chosen using night camera footage, tracks, and repeated movement patterns. The system combines night vision cameras, motion sensors, and a remotely controlled gate. Most importantly, it allows full control without direct contact, a critical factor when dealing with wildlife near homes. The herd pauses at the edge between forest and living space. They test the ground, root around, circle cautiously. A few individuals hang back, watching, reading the situation. This is the most dangerous moment. One wrong decision here, and the herd scatters, learns, and avoids traps forever. Then, one decision, timed perfectly. The gate drops cleanly. The herd is contained in a controlled space, fully separated from the neighborhood. No injuries, no noise, No one in the area even wakes up. A secondary camera deeper in the forest keeps rolling. Another group from the same herd changes direction. No panic, no chaos. They simply circle wider, searching for a new way in. That's textbook behavior when a familiar route is blocked. Instead of escalating force, a second trap is placed deeper, quieter, less obvious. The goal isn't speed, it's closing off re-entry completely and keeping the area stable in the nights ahead. What made that night special wasn't how many boars were controlled, it was when the decision was made. 30 seconds earlier, the herd could have split and spread. A few minutes later, fences, gardens, and living space might have taken real damage. Technology helps, a lot, but it can't replace human judgment or patience. The result came from preparation done long before, and a calm decision made at exactly the right moment.
We got Leafy Leaper over there. People want a copy. But there they all are.
By morning, the garden is untouched. Proof that modern wildlife control is no longer about confrontation. It's about being proactive, safe, and responsible. This is what it looks like when humans manage conflict with intelligence and patience instead of panic. Situations like this will only become more common as the line between people and nature continues to shrink. In the next episode, we'll keep following how residential areas take control before conflict begins. Like, share, and subscribe to stay with us.
Run and go get the other one now. Other one.
The sight of wild boars wandering into urban areas is no longer rare. It's becoming an escalating problem. At first, muddy tracks and minor crop damage might seem harmless, but things quickly spiral out of control. Today, wild boars roam neighborhoods freely, leaving destruction in their wake and damaging public infrastructure. This issue has moved beyond ecology. It's now a community safety concern. Without timely intervention, incidents like these are almost certain to repeat. This situation shows that communities need to shift from a reactive stance to a proactive approach in managing wild boars, coordinating closely with local authorities. So, what's the most effective way to tackle this before things get worse? Let's follow our journey to find out. You can't just set up a cage trap in a rush. Installing one takes hours, sometimes an entire day, because every detail must account for the boar's movement patterns. Placement is everything. Observing footprints, dug up soil, and known pathways is key to determining where the trap will work best. The cage is reinforced to safely contain multiple boars at once. The trap's space is just right, so the animals don't sense anything unusual, while the gate snaps shut automatically when triggered. Quick and silent, minimizing disruption to the surrounding area. This approach reduces unnecessary stress, keeps the herd calm, and ensures relocation is carried out responsibly. With all preparations complete, the wildlife control team waits patiently. As night falls, the world grows quiet, and the traps sit ready for action. The first signal comes in tense moments. The lead boar enters the center of the trap. Sensing the perfect moment, the team leader releases the gate, securing the boar safely inside. This is the result of careful observation, precise calculation, and flawless teamwork. Not far away, other traps show positive signals around midnight. Each herd is controlled, preventing them from returning to the neighborhood. This is modern wildlife management in action. Effective, humane, and timely intervention to prevent invasions. Once trapped, wild boars are transported carefully and orderly. Though contained, their defensive instincts remain strong, so minimizing stress and injury is critical. Protective gear and specialized equipment are essential, showing respect for both the animals and nature. Boars are placed in sturdy, well-ventilated transport crates, ensuring safety for both humans and animals. Every movement is meticulously planned to avoid panic or harm. This process isn't just transportation, it's a lesson in coexisting responsibly with wildlife. In certain licensed programs, biological samples may be sent for research to monitor populations and ecosystems. All actions comply strictly with federal law and food safety regulations. Cage traps are a responsible way to manage wild boar populations. They allow humans to protect crops and property while minimizing negative impact on wildlife. With careful observation and timely intervention, we can safeguard production and maintain ecological balance.
look at that. Pretty tough, huh?